I'm thinking about it too much.
It's okay. I'll start it off. We're having some technical difficulties with Matt today, so I'm going to start out this video.
My brain is updating.
This is Matt Estevez. He is the FUs,
Yeah.
and I'm Joey O'Brien, and I am a mixer, engineer, producer, and all that fun stuff, or at least I claim to be. And it's music comes out, so we'll go with it.
And you recorded and produced and engineered this song.
Yes, I did do that. That's true.
Yes. And so this song is For the Love of God. It was the first single out from the album, and I just wiped everything that I had previously released and just started fresh with this song to kind of I felt like I reached a level of like, oh, this is my sound. So this is the first song that kind of just started me over again. And we're here to walk through the session and to show you what we did, all the tracks, the hidden little gems that we have, and just to explain the technical sides that Joey will take over and just my writing process. So,
yeah. Well, let's do it. So you want to say anything about the little intro part here?
Yeah, so the intro, I had the riff, and I didn't know how to start it. I thought about starting it just like all out balls to the walls, and I don't know how. I don't really remember how I came up with the intro. It was just kind of I wanted to gear up the thing, and then so we'll play it up until it drops out.
Here we go.
Start that, yeah. Yeah, so I wanted to start it off. So it starts off with the guitar, one of the lead guitars on the left side, pan to the left. And we have the drums hitting. And then once the other guitars come in, the drums get a little louder. And then the bass just slides down, and it kind of just kicks off there. There's not really much to it. It's just straight riff rock.
Yeah, we had kind of toyed with some. I don't remember if it was at this part or later, but doing some like telephone effects and different things like that, and it was kind of cool. But we're like, just having that snare drum and that guitar riff in there is already pretty small, which allows you to jump into something really huge. So I took out a couple of things, lowered the volume a little bit, but like overall, just arrangement wise, it was like soft, and then boom.
Yeah.
So shall we hear the boom?
Yeah, let's take the boom. Oh, yeah. So how many guitar parts do we have? We've
got, let's see, 4, 5, 6, 6, and bass.
Yeah. So what I wanted to do is when the whole just band goes crazy, I wanted it thin in the beginning, kind of thin when the second guitar comes in, and when the bass slides down, I am awful at naming my tracks when I record them. So we have the intro and the lead, which is on the left. We have one called I don't really remember. I think that's chunky, little chunk mode. Yeah, so it's not as like ear piercing, so it's just to fill it out. And then the thick one it's just thick, honestly. Yeah. So it fills it out, and then if you go down to those green ones, there's harmonies on the guitar riff. Yeah, so that's just wanted to fill it out and just have it kind of be this whole song. I wanted it to be just chaotic and just like what's happening. Like it's never kind of constant. So yeah, and then we can play. And I wanted to keep the riff going until the first verse, and I just didn't want it to be repetitive. So I found out this little stop that happens, and it just like kind of resets the whole song in a way to where the riff is fresh, like even though it's been playing for the whole song. Yeah.
Yeah, I always love little dropouts like that. It really makes the energy more consistent, like you said. Definitely not as repetitive as it could have been.
Yeah. Yeah. Then we hit it into the first verse, which is just it kind of opens up the playing field for the vocals, just to all balls to the wall screaming to come in, and we'll go through that. There's a bunch of little hidden gems on this one too.
Start right before the vocal there.
For the love of God, someone set me free.
Yeah. So almost all the guitars are just hidden in E, just with the drums. And there's one, I believe it says high octave verse.
Looking
down, right up.
Oh, there you are.
There it is. So if you play, so that one just goes. So it kind of just. So that one also pans from the left to the right. You can't really tell when you're listening to it because there's just so much going on already. But it's just a little bit to kind of just change it up a little bit, cause a little bit more chaos. And it feels like something is off just the tiniest bit.
And it gets it nice in terms of mix perspective. It gets it nice and out of the way for that vocal to just punch you in the face.
Yep.
Which is cool.
Yeah. So that does it that time. And then the second half of the first verse, it doesn't do it because I don't want to be repetitive all the time. So, yeah, just balls to the walls first verse.
Yeah, it's cool, too, how you have riff and then vocal back and forth. It's almost like a classic call and response type situation, which I think it makes a song more catchy. So that's cool. Yeah, do we want to talk? Let's talk about the vocal really quick.
Yeah.
I'm assuming I did almost nothing to it, same as all the other songs, because it's raw. It's cool. We used this microphone again for the vocals. It's Neumann TLM 103 into our Art tube preamp and into the 1176 clone because those are expensive. But yeah, sounds pretty cool. It looks like all I'm doing on the channel here is turning it up for some reason and adding a little bit of high end and taking out the rumble. That's literally. And then let's see, do we have our classic? Yeah, we have our classic distortion channel here too. So if we just listen to the vocal itself, we have this. For the love of God, someone set me free. But yeah, which is layered up with this thing here. Adds a little bit of niceness up on the top.
Yeah, fills that stuff out.
Yeah, and then we can talk more technicalities here in a moment. But if you want, let's move on to a new section here. Yeah.
Yeah, so then there's a little drum fill because I honestly, it's not because I'm like, oh my God, I have this drum fill I want to put in. I couldn't think of a way to transfer or to transition from the verse to the chorus. So I'm like, all right, let's add a little drum fill and then go to the chorus. So. Yeah.
It's a cool fill. It works.
Yeah, and the chorus isn't anything. Just like it's just something just basic rock chorusy. Just basic chords, chord progression. It was more of focusing on the lyrics on the chorus, and then on the verses being more like aggression. So yeah, we don't really need to do much for the chorus.
Let's just listen to the first half of it, anyways, here, and then we'll highlight the vocal too because they sound pretty cool. Yeah, so I do just want to listen to these.
Yeah, so we doubled it, yeah.
So yeah, if you're not familiar with like production techniques at all, this is a classic thing. It's on so much stuff where you just record the vocal twice. You can't just copy and paste. You have to actually sing it 2 times for this to work. But it's like this is just one. Stuck inside a cage, I'm not. So we have that, but then if you sing it again. Stuck inside a cage, I'm not getting out alive. Nice and thick. Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty straight. This song is pretty straightforward, just rock.
Not a whole lot to it. We kept it pretty raw, a little bit crunchy, and that's about it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so after the chorus, it goes to a solo with just a giant scream right there.
Yeah, let's start right before that scream here. Where are we?
Right there.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I mean, there's
powerful.
Yeah, it's just that solo. I've never really done solos before, and I kind of just my guitar level didn't match what I wanted to do. So I just tried to figure out what worked with the riff and what kept the chaos going and just like so I just again straightforward. Just wanted to be just because I knew that this song would have been the first like song back, and this would be like my first step in the right direction. So I just wanted it to be just like, this is me, this is my aggression, this is what I can bring to the table. So it's just straightforward.
Yeah, let's hear it by itself too. I think that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just goes crazy at the end there. You're so right about that.
Yeah, so then the second verse is not, it has the same vocal melody as the first verse. The drums are different. It's not, it's less like as the first verse. It kind of calls back to the intro of the song where it's just the snare hitting on every beat. And then, yeah.
Yeah, so this is that verse, and then we'll listen to the drums here. So yeah, that's like he says, different. It's more of a driving force on that snare drum.
Oh yeah,
which is always fun. It's always a good option, in my opinion, as well, to change up your verses, because it's so easy to now with digital recording just to go like copy it and like drag it. Okay, yep, you got another verse, but it's not very interesting in my opinion, you know. So I like that this is a little different here.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so just the same as the first one, and then it kind of goes into a bridge. You just continue where you're at. It's essentially the same drum part as the beginning, where it goes from the snare to the hi-hat, gets louder, and then all the guitars kind of like wash out. There's a lot of like ear candy, I think we like to call it. There's a lot of stuff going on. The song never like stops having things happening. There's always like every few beats, there's something new, something different. Something's like, what was that? I need to listen to that song again. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, there's so much going on right here.
Yeah, and it's cool because it's almost like there's another solo here. It's not exactly a solo, but it's on your solo track, and it really adds a lot. Because without that, it's just kind of guitars, just chords, you know, which is still cool. But then when you add this little bit, flying across between your two ears, you know, is
if you solo that one, the solo one, and then the high octave verse, it's going from left to right. And then the other track is going from right to left. So it's kind of just... Yeah. And then so we do have another joke in this song.
Oh, that's right.
So when the lead part goes... when we were recording, so we record vocals usually like a whole song at a time, a few times to get used to it. And this instrumental part I just love so much. And I was just in the vocal booth just like jamming along.
Just vibing to the song.
And so I went, to emulate what the lead guitar was doing. And we decided to keep it in the song in the final version, that you could really listen to it if you paid attention. But this is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we have it down like, well, I'll just hit oh, please let me undo. Oh no. Okay. We had it down so low. Yeah, a little higher than that. But yeah, essentially it's like we've done this on most of the tracks. You can't hear it. It's there to make us smile, you know.
Yeah. Something to keep us sane. So after this whole little washout kind of like calms down, because the first almost 2 minutes of the song is just like bang, 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 just screamy, and so it kind of like, it doesn't mellow out, but it just changes like vibe. And so if you mute the James one and just play it, there's this bridge that I had, and I was like, we need something over it. I was trying to figure out lyrics, and then so this is what we had.
Here. Some chunking.
Yeah, all the chunk.
I love
so
this part.
I wanted to build it because I was envisioning the song playing it live, and I'm just like boom, 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 just walking around the stage, just looking at people, being like, "Oh my god, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen?" And so my friend James, who was in the band for a while before Corona hit, and just kind of took it on my own, he came up with this part, and he sent me like a Logic file with maybe 4 or 5 different like sounds with it, and I said, screw it. I combined all the sounds, turned the distortion up, and then this is what we came up with.
And I'm gonna solo it and then drop it together so you can hear how much more impactful it can be.
Yeah.
It pretty much repeats that for the most part, but here it is in context.
And it's just so like thick and crunchy, and it's still chaotic, but it's not as fast. Yeah. And so after 4 bars of that, the drums go into something that I love so much that we just spent a lot of time just listening to because it was really cool. It's just like 4 on the floor, boom, boom, bam, boom, 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 bam. And I'm like, I can't do that for this entire bridge, so this is what we did.
Yeah. Hold on. We gotta listen to this one. Oh. Classic Matt with ridiculous toms.
Yeah, so I mean, it's once again this whole song I wanted, except the choruses, I wanted at least every 2 or 4 bars to be something different, something new. Even if it's something from the beginning, it's just like, oh, that sounds a little familiar, but it's in a different spot. So it's just like building different Lego sets in every different part of the song.
Yeah.
So after this bridge, did we do anything
after this
technical
bridge
you wanted to go into for this one?
Well, not particularly. It's pretty straightforward. The only thing we're doing on the drums is layering up a sample with the snare, make it thicker. And I mean, that's throughout the whole song. We did actually, so that you could play that tom part like more smoothly, we kind of did layer up a crash sound here, which was a good idea. It's in there, I promise. Here it is. Yeah, it just kind of smooths it out a little bit and gives them the freedom to actually play the toms there. It was cool.
Yeah.
But I really like this next part, the transition back to the chorus.
Yeah. And it was another thing where, just like the first chorus, I didn't know how to transition from the bridge into the second chorus. So it just came up with like, oh, let me do this little thing right here.
Yeah, which is this. Yeah. If you want to say anything about that, go ahead. Otherwise, I'll talk about this.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would do is just all of those cuts that you see. There was a lot, since the guitars are so crunchy, even like a second or a half a second of me not playing, doing like the little offbeats, had like a or just a buzz that I really didn't like. So I wanted this to be clean. I wanted it to go right with the hi-hats opening and closing. So we cut, we just took out those buzz sections. I think I kept 1 or 2 because it sounded too crisp. That's the only thing I would add.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much what I was going to say here too. It's just like, it's a really good thing if you're trying to get some chunk and some space in between, like literally cut your tracks. Like, I don't care if you stop playing, it's going to sound way cooler. And then that way too, and some people are opposed to this because they're like, oh, I want to play it perfect. But you can also select this thing and put it like right exactly where the drum is by moving it like left to right. And it just sounds tighter than anyone could possibly play it live. And it's really cool.
Yeah. So yeah, it goes into the second chorus. It's honestly the same exact as the first chorus. If you want to just play like the latter half.
Oh,
we don't need to. And so it calls back. Yeah, we stop right there. So in the first chorus, it goes change that I could find, and it screams and it goes to the solo. But this one, it says change that I could find, and then it goes away, which calls back to the end of the second verse, which is like take the pain away, take the pain away. And that's kind of like how the end of the chorus goes. And so I don't remember which guitar part it is. I think it's the same high octave verse. It's just yeah. So it's just holding, it's just going through the chord progression of the chorus again.
Let's just listen to this one really quick here, yeah.
Yeah.
That's fun, yeah. That's kind of nice to hold out like one single note. It really brings everything together. That was a good idea.
Yeah, it just changes it up just once again, one more final time, and then it's just a bunch of more screaming.
Yeah. Let's hear this like final little screaming section here. So you can see here we actually have this double again. Doubling scream sounds really cool too if you hear it. But then dropping it out when the drums drop out, so just the one mat again.
Yeah. So the way I screamed at this specific part, I have two different kinds of screams. One was just like as if like you're yelling in an argument, you're just screaming just like without thinking. That's the main one. And then the layer one, the double that we cut out, is something that I do that I'm still trying to work on. It's more of a whisper with a lot of distortion on it, so it sounds like you're screaming more like controlled.
Right.
And so doubling like the deeper natural scream with the whisper higher pitched scream, we got the full sound.
Yeah, and can I?
Yeah,
let's play it without the distortion on it too. Just this whisper. Funny. It's really hilarious. It's still aggressive, but it's not like. But then when you put the distortion back, and then your main scream, it's a little bit more powerful.
Some things are better not soloed.
Yes, I know. I just exposed you. I'm sorry about that. But no, it's a production technique. Yeah, it's cool. It works really well.
Yeah, and so it drops out one more time.
And this time everything drops out. Like we cut the drums too, so we have.
Yeah, so there's like no reverb, no like hangovers. Just kind of not as the first dropout at the beginning of the song had the cymbals still ringing a little bit, had a little bit of guitar reverb. So this just changes it up just the tiniest bit to keep it fresh. And it just goes into the riff.
Then the band plays us out, but we do want to touch on this little part right here. This is fun, so. So I love that ending, but let's talk about this thing first here where you go like double time.
Yeah, so that whole section right before it drops out that final time, it is reminiscent. It brings back and it calls back to the beginning of the song where it's just the riff. It has the harmonies. It has like a bazillion guitar parts. So it does the basic straightforward thing, and then where it goes double time, it calls back to the second verse where it's like bump, 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 bump. So it's just trying to call back every different part of the song just one last time.
Right. Yeah. So now that we have context, let's just hear this part again. And then again, muting everything except for this one little guitar lick here, which lives alone, and then bring in all of it.
Yeah.
We brought, I think, pretty much except for the harmony guitars, we brought everything back in except the harmony and the vocals, and you just got this giant hit here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's just, I'm a big fan of calling things back because it's just like it makes you pay attention to the song before, so you can like be like, oh, this is from the first verse, or this, instead of everything being like the same boring old repetitive, or you can't have too many new things. So yeah, I mean, I think that last guitar hit, if you want to solo all the guitars, it's
bass
just
too?
It's just like just chunk. I know we use the word chunk a lot, but that is just all I want is just chunk.
One chunk. Yes, here we go. That wasn't right. Maybe that's how it is. Who knows?
Yeah.
I guess it is like that. Well, the crash fills it in, so whatever.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I was considering just like, I honestly wanted to fade it out for a long time, just continue the riff. But I'm like, that's kind of boring. No one likes fade outs anymore. So we just essentially, we literally took, we copied that guitar riff from the bridge, put it into we just made some space. Very, it's a very Foo Fighters thing to do, as that's my biggest influence of all time. So it's just it's a callback to them. And yeah. I mean, it's a pretty straightforward rock song. There's not like a million parts going on. It's just just riff rock and basic chords for the chorus, kind of just like intense, chaotic, and then kind of like, okay, let's breathe for a little bit with the chorus. And is there any like technical things that you wanted to?
Yeah, I mean, we can touch on that a little bit. Yeah. Just to finish up here, it is minimal from a technical standpoint. For pretty much this whole project, at least in terms of what my focus was just getting everything as clean as possible and then just putting effects on it. For some projects, you kind of want to do interesting things or get some weird effects going on. For this, it's like, no, we want it to sound like a performance, just a very, very tight performance, of a live band, though. Yeah, I mean, other than that, I mean, it was just kind of cleaning up and thickening the drums. I did do something interesting with the snare drum here. I don't remember exactly what it was. Oh, that's not even... Yeah, there we go. This is the only really unique thing I did on just this track. Just add some metallicness to the snare. Basically, what this thing does is it waits for a snare drum to hit, and then it lets the sound come through. And this thing takes that sound and squishes the living heck out of it. And yeah, that just goes into our reverb, and you can hear how it sounds like he's hitting a giant piece of metal, but it's very quiet in the background, though. Yeah. That's really the only like weird thing I think that we did.
Yeah. It's pretty basic. I mean, with all my music, I don't want to not overproduce. It sounds kind of cringe, but like I wanted it to sound like a band was playing, even though it was just me and then that one James's guitar part. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted it to be just as refreshing and aggressive as possible, but also being kind of just like familiar, but also new and fresh and all that. So, yeah. I mean, that's For the Love of God.
I forgot we did have one other thing in here.
Oh yeah. So there's a meme that's been around for a long time, and it's a Gummy Bear song. I think it's like a German or a Swedish gummy bear that sings, and there's some, I don't know, he has a really weird voice, and he says this very specific line, and so what we do? What kind of effect do we have?
We put a little altar boy on it to shift the pitch around of the vocal to make it sound like a small creature, and it sounds like this.
And this is not in the song.
No, this isn't in it. It's muted. It's after the ending.
Yeah, and this is what happens when we get very bored. I mean, we mixed like every day till like 5 a.m, just balls to the wall. It's been like, oh my God, we had 11 songs on the album, and we just wanted to we needed something to screw around with and just to let our brains rot a little bit more.
Which leads to this situation.
Look for the Gummy Bear album in stores on November 13th with lots of music, videos, and extras.
Yeah. We have fun here.
That's in the real legit session.
Yeah, now you know.
Now you know what goes on. It's not all professional and like, ooh.
Oh, geez, not at all.
Oh, yeah, and also what I wanted to mention real quick is that we're currently in my house, which we built a studio in our house, and we did the album like way before it looked this nice and with the lights and everything.
Definitely work in progress, bare bones setup going on.
Yeah, so we did the drums in the living room over here. And I mean, I had never recorded in a house before, like to this extent. And I was just blown away that we could get all of this. Like, it sounds like we did it in a state-of-the-art studio, honestly. Yeah,
and it was a living room. And that's kudos to the fact that it's a one-story building and we put microphones all over the place to pick up, make it sound big.
Yeah, and so do we have a room?
Actually, that's a good point. So we did a really weird thing with the rooms I totally forgot about. You can take a listen here.
Yeah.
Definitely doesn't sound glorious on its own. But we have two microphones actually pointing directly towards each other, and then we pan them left and right, so that it's even bigger. And some people who are really technical might be like, "Oh, that's wrong because you get problems," and I would say, I don't care, it sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Because with it and then without it.
It just lets it breathe
but it's wider.
Bit. Yeah. So we placed them. So usually room mics are like in the room.
Right.
Yeah, that's obvious. But since the living room that we have that we recorded in, it's like it's a room.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Well, that's okay. We can keep talking. My screen recording stopped, but let's keep going.
Yeah, we could just finish it out. We'll make it go. We'll talk. Well, the video. Now we're talking to you.
Hey, hi.
So we're done with the talking about the song. So the living room. There's a living room. Then there's like a section of wall, and then 2 doors, and then another living room. So the sound comes out of the 2 living rooms. I don't really know how to describe this because I'm not good with science.
It's pretty much just what you said. The sound goes into the living room and then bounces off all the walls in the kitchen and all of that.
Yeah.
And then hits the microphones. But there's a big brick wall, so it doesn't actually get the sound of the actual drum kit itself. It's just what's coming off of the walls.
Yeah. So it sounds like what it would have sounded like if you were sitting at the couch in the other living room just listening to me play drums.
Right.
So, and we didn't do anything really to them.
Nothing significant. No, nothing at all really.
Yeah, so we wanted to keep that rawness, kind of like live, and the aggression. So yeah, just totally wanted to mention that. But.
Yeah, that's a very good point because that's part of what made this project so fun is it was in, the comfort of a home.
Yeah.
And we had just a ton of fun with it, working until 5 a.m. every day.
It's the life.
It really is.
So yeah. Thank you for watching.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in.
Definitely want to do more.
Yeah, keep your eye out. We'll almost definitely have more of these videos available for you soon.
Yeah, so hit that bell.
Oh my God, we're doing this again.
Okay. No, thank you for watching. This was For the Love of God. It was the first single off of the album.
By the FUs.
And thank you. Hope you enjoyed. Bye.
Bye.